What's up, Badger fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Badgers. Today, we're going to talk about a poll Rajeev put up. Are the Badgers going to win a national title in the next 10 years? What do you think? I was surprised by the answers. Maybe Rajeev wasn't, but we're going to talk about it. We disagree. All of that, plus recruiting thoughts and more on today's Locked On Badgers. Let's go on Wisconsin.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Badgers. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings, as always. Really do. I say this a lot, and I don't want it to become like a casual throwaway comment that I make. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. So thank you guys so much. Whether you're listening now, whether you're tuning in live, whether you're going to see it on YouTube later, check it out on the podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in and making this a small part of your day. We're going to bring in Rajeev as we try to do once a week, but it's been a minute since we've had Rajeev on the show, which means we haven't had a chance to play.
Badgers winning a national title? Absolutely. Going on Final Four runs? Why not? It's Believe with Rajeev on today's Locked On Badgers.
I love that audio, by the way.
It's been a while since I've been on, but over a week, actually, which is a long time. I've been itching to get back on the show to talk about the recruits, talk about the poll that I put up. Yeah, really good to be back with you, Ryan.
Well, and speaking of that, no, so you're always welcome. I'm always really excited to get you on the show. Speaking of the poll you put up, that feels like a great time to play the Believe with Rajeev sound clip there. You know, Badgers winning a national title, why not? You put a poll up on Twitter. Well, I'll just let you take it from there because it was your poll.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, when we went to the spring game, Ryan and I were sitting at the bar having a cocktail late at night, and we were talking about this exact thing. And the question is, will Wisconsin win a national championship in the next 10 years? Now, I phrased the question, will they win it under Luke Fickell in the next 10 years? So there was some debate about whether I should have excluded Luke Fickell in there or not. Maybe he won't stay here for 10 years. But the results were agreeing with me. It was kind of shocking, actually. 69% said yes, 31% said no, which I love because I know that you're in the 31%, which I don't know why you are. But let me explain my position on why I think that it's that 69% and why I think a lot of fans believe that. First and foremost, the 12-team playoff opens up a whole new door, right? Because we have been in a situation pre-Luke Fickell, even with Chryst, that we were knocking on the doorstep of a 14 playoff, right? We had an opportunity to win the Big Ten championship. We would have gone in there had we won those games. We didn't. But if we was a 12-team playoff, there are several times, or at least a couple times, we would have been in that 12-team playoff. Once you're in a single elimination tournament, anything can happen. But most importantly is what Luke Fickell's doing to this program. We've already seen, right now we're ranked 14th in the recruiting class for 2024. Who knows what the number is going to end up being? Will we have the greatest recruiting class we've ever had at Wisconsin this year? I don't know. But in the next couple of years, will we? I think we can all agree that we probably will. So you couple that with the fact that Luke Fickell has pedigree, being at Ohio State for as long as he has been, doing what he did at Cincinnati. I'm not surprised that all this 69% of the people agree with me that we're going to win it. I really want to hear your side of it because I don't agree with it. But I think that it's how can we, I mean, I guess the question is, yes, I understand it's still a national title and that's not exactly, probable, but we are in a situation where we're going to be better than we ever have been. And I don't think a lot of Badger fans disagree with that. I don't think you disagree with that either. We're going to be better than we have been in the past. So if we were knocking on the doorstep 5, 6, 7, that means we're probably going to be in that tournament soon. Therefore, I'm saying in the next 10 years, we're absolutely going to win a national title. Believe, baby.
I love it. No, I love it. Like, listen, nothing would make me happier. Let's start there, right? I'm a fan of the Badgers first and foremost, so nothing would make me happier. The Badgers win a title, I'm taking like a week off of work and I'm going on a holiday. Like, yes, I am here for it. Really quick, Kyle Kramer says, "You the man, Ryan." Kyle, you are the man. Greg Linscomb says that audio always makes Rajeev smile. To Believe with Rajeev audio, it makes all of us smile. So here's the thing, right? It's so hard to do. Let's start there. And I live in a little place right now called Reality Island, right? And let me tell you, Reality Island's not so bad. It's not so terrible, right? Like, I got a little place set up here. I can still enjoy the Badgers, but do it from a realistic standpoint. And I'm just going to read you something here. You ready for this?
Ready.
UGA, Bama, LSU, Clemson, Bama, Ohio State, Florida State, Bama, Auburn, Bama, Florida, LSU, Florida, Texas, USC, Ohio State, Miami, Florida, Oklahoma, That's the last 20 years of national titles. Now, what do we not see there? We don't see non-blue bloods, and we don't see Big Ten teams.
Disagree. Well, we do see non-blue bloods because Clemson used to not be a blue blood.
But they are blue blood now.
They are. Right? They are blue blood now. I agree with you.
But you also don't see Big Ten teams, though.
Okay, I agree with you. But you did not see Clemson. Listen, I'm not saying we're LSU, we're Bama, we're Ohio State. I know we're not. But I've said many times on the show that I believe we are the next Clemson. Clemson 15, 20 years ago, nowhere near national title, nowhere near the Blue Bloods. They were just South Carolina's rival. They were in the ACC. They battled it out every now and again. They were not a team that was a national powerhouse. My contention is that we're going to be that next Clemson because we have this perfect storm of a really good institution, really good base of a football program that's been successful. That's one of the most successful teams in the past 10 or 15 years. Not win a title, yes, but now you take that next step. So I believe that we can make that Clemson bump. I'm glad that you said that, list, because Clemson totally proves my point.
It doesn't because Clemson, there's two reasons why we're not the next Clemson. And again, I would love to – I hate saying this because I would love to be wrong about all this. I want to be super clear. Let me actually go back one sec because I do want to point out because I already see this comment coming up. Well, Ryan, why are you so excited about Luke Fickell if you don't think we can actually win anything here? I'm excited because I think we can actually have this conversation now. Yeah. I think Luke Fickell puts us in a better position to have this conversation. Like Paul Chryst was not even we weren't going to have this conversation if Paul Chryst was still the coach. No shade or disrespect. It is what it is. Luke Fickell is going to make us a better program. He raises the ceiling. I think we're going to be more competitive with the big schools. So all of those things make me excited about Luke Fickell. I can say all that and still think I don't think we're going to win a title. And there's two reasons that kind of come to mind why we're not the next Clemson. The first is we can talk all we want about how Luke Fickell is going to elevate recruiting. Clemson is in a much more fertile recruiting area than Wisconsin. They just are. There's a lot more talent in those areas. And they also play in a conference. Who's been Clemson's top challenger for the last 15 years in the ACC, right? If you're in the Big Ten, you're going through Penn State, Michigan, pretty soon USC, Ohio State. Like that's a much tougher journey than saying, hey, Clemson, get through Miami, Florida, and Virginia Tech, right? Like there's not much beef there, and they have a much easier path to. Not only do they have an easier path to get to those spots, but they have more local talent to then kind of recruit in that area than Wisconsin has. So I think those are two areas that Wisconsin has a hard time making up that ground with Clemson. And again, like even if you say we can be the next Clemson, which listen, I definitely understand that point, and it's not without merit. You also don't see Big Ten teams winning a title. And that's the more worrisome part if you're going to say in the next 10 years Wisconsin's going to do it, because Michigan hasn't been able to do it. Penn State hasn't been able to do it. Ohio State's done it one time, and they're consistently going to have more talent than Wisconsin. So I think it's been a Southern thing because that's where the majority of the talent and resources are located. And I think it's going to be extremely hard for Wisconsin to break through that.
I hear you. And I think you're making very good points. Like certainly I hear the recruiting argument, especially about Clemson. No doubt about that. But just look at this year. I know that Michigan screwed up. I know Ohio State screwed up. But both of those teams should have won. Michigan and Ohio State should have played each other for the title game, by the way. But I hear the point, but I do think that the Big Ten is making some progress in this regard because, look, remember that for a lot of those years, Michigan was basically a junk program that was mid-table in the conference. They weren't doing much. They had the Rich Rod years. Like they've come up a long way from where they are. The Big Ten has improved. So I don't think it's very much longer before the Big Ten gets it done because they were very close to getting it done this year. But call me crazy, call me just an optimist, which I am, but I feel like when you look at where we have been for the last 10, 15 years as a football program, upper echelon Big Ten, I know I read a comment earlier that said second tier. Yes, we're second tier. We're not Ohio State, Michigan. I hear that. But we just made the biggest splash hire in the country. And no one, ourselves included, really thought that all of a sudden Luke Fickell was going to turn out a top 15 recruiting class. And I'm not saying it's going to finish this way, but there's certainly a possibility that it finishes with a top 15 class. You get guys like Yume and some of these other guys that we're looking at, Marion Stewart, probably going to Michigan. But you see these guys out there. If we land those guys, we will be a top 15 recruiting class. So already steps have been taken that have not been taken in the past. So all I'm saying is if you extrapolate that out and you give it 10 years and you say, how many of those 10 years are we going to be in the college football playoff at a 12-team playoff? Maybe 3, maybe 2. And in one of those, can we go on that run and win 3 or 4 games, right? Can we actually get that done? who's to say that we can't? Because it's not like we haven't won big games in the past. We have, but now we have a weapon that we've never had. We're going to have recruits that we've never had. We have strength and conditioning that we've never had. All of these things equal up to what other teams like Michigan have done, going from where they were to where they are. I know that's a blue blood. And what Clemson has done, what Georgia's done too. Georgia is a blue blood, yes, but it's not like they've always been some big juggernaut. I mean, they were kind of playing second fiddle, second tier SEC school. They've made the jump up now too. So I don't think you can really say that it's not a possibility, but I hear your arguments and I think they're very important. But I just choose to believe and be the optimist that we're going to get it done.
No, I love it. No, and I also want to be clear. The reason we're having this conversation is I don't think it's an impossibility. Like the question is, do you think they will? And I don't think they will. But we wouldn't even be having this conversation if I was like, there's no chance. Certainly, Luke Fickell has raised the ceiling here, which is why this conversation even makes sense to be had. Because, again, if it had been status quo after what we'd seen the last couple of years and they, McIntosh said, one more year with Chryst, let's see. You and I are not having this conversation right now. We're talking, can they win the West?
So what do you think is the realistic ceiling for Luke Fickell in the next 10 years? What do you think we will do if you don't think we're going to win a title? What will we do?
Yeah, let's pause on that and come back because we have to take a quick break for our friends of the show. And we have a bunch of comments over here I want to get to, including this one from Brandon. I think this is a good question here. The old playoff would have still been kind of single elimination. Now the road is tougher, having to win multiple against top competition. Yeah. I think that's a good point. That's something I want to talk about coming out of the break as well. First, we do have to take a very quick break for our friends of the show over at Birddogs. Birddogs, I've talked about it quite a bit. I've given my story about being mistaken as a homeless person. Here's another one. Like I have all sorts of stories. And I was shopping online. My wife came over. I work from home. I'm very blessed to be able to work from home. My wife came over. She's like, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you buying?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm shopping for work clothes." And she said, "All I see are basketball shorts and tank tops." I said, "Yeah, I'm dressing up for the part." She said, "Oh my gosh, you're de-evolving. Like you're gonna be rolling out of a cave in 2 years if you don't." And Birddogs has given me the ability to again dress like a normal human adult while still maintaining the comfort that is paramount to my life. Number one in my life outside of my family is probably being comfortable. So Birddogs has filled that niche for me and my legs look great. I love them so much. And now if you go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege, you're going to get a free tumbler with every purchase. It's a Yeti-style tumbler. It's incredible. I have one. I wear my Birddogs all the time. I've got 2 pairs just in time for summer. Make your legs look great. Dress like a normal human adult. Be comfortable. Don't be mistaken for a homeless guy. Birddogs. Birddogs.com/lockedoncollege. I do want to take a very quick second, as always, to say thank you so much for everybody who's tuning in, all the people listening live, the people going to watch us later. Y'all are amazing, and the reason this community has grown is because of y'all and because of the people like Rajeev who's coming on next. I want to bring that comment back up really quick, Rajeev, and then I want to answer the question you had. I think it's a really good question/comment from Brandon. Is it actually harder for a team like Wisconsin or anybody in that tier, let's say a Washington, to win multiple games in a play? It's easier to get in the playoffs now, but now you're going to have to string 2 or 3 wins against teams that are probably, at least on paper, more talented.
But you're in it. You've got a chance. We've never even been in it. So winning a national title hasn't even been a possibility. I mean, look, no one thought we were going to go to the Final Four in 1999. No one thought we were going to go to the Final Four in 2014, but we still did. And once you're in it, you've got a chance. And all I'm saying is in 10 years, we're going to be in it. We're going to have a chance. And look what happens. Look what happened in the TCU Michigan game this year. Look what happened in the Ohio State Georgia game. Like things happen in this sport that allows teams that are good, that have got really good base, really good structure to get this done. And so yes, I hear the argument that it's a little tougher because you got to win more of those games, but I want to be in the tournament first and foremost. And this is what we're giving ourselves. If we was still a 4-team playoff moving forward, I would not have this opinion. I have this opinion because of Luke Fickell and the 12-team playoff.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. And to be honest, by the way, we got to get into this. We got a potential breaking news in the comment section here. We got to get into that next. But I do want to say, I agree with your point. We're going to be in the playoff going forward under Luke Fickell, whether it's 10% of the 2 or 3 years out of 10, whatever it is, we are absolutely going to have opportunities to be in that. I firmly believe that. Let's do this here. Jeff Westfall says that Marion Stewart, this is breaking news, canceled his Michigan visit. Is that true? He canceled his Michigan official? Because if that's true, I think we're in the runner-up seat to Michigan. Was the impression I got.
Yeah, I agree. We're in the runner-up seat, but I actually really thought Michigan was squarely in the driver's seat, though. this is interesting. Maybe it's because he doesn't need to do it. I mean, like,
I don't think you cancel your visit to a place you're about to commit to.
I would agree. I would agree, but boy, oh boy, what a pull that would be. I mean,
Dylan
again,
says, Rajeev, did Stewart cancel his Michigan trip? Dylan says, don't mess with our feelings here. I'm going to run through a wall. I will say this, like, if you're doing speed dating, right, and that's actually something I've never done, but if you were speed dating and you said, I'm going to go with Amy, that's my pick, you would then cancel your date with Amy.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that would be very weird. I have no idea if this is true. I haven't seen it. Jeff Westfall says 247 is not listing him anymore. Paul Kramer says Stewart with 4 exclamation points.
We'll obviously have to get.
We'll have to check.
We'll have to get some more details on this. Yeah, if it's breaking now, I'm actually in 247 right now, and I don't see anything about it yet. But
okay, so we'll have to check. Let's go back to your question about what do I think the expectations are. So here's where I'm at, and again, this is why I'm excited for Luke Fickell without thinking we're necessarily going to win a title. And Jan Volk says, Ryan, it sounds like winning a Big Ten title is what makes you excited. We have done that. We need to believe in Rajeev and think we can win a national title. So 2 parts. Stop it, Rajeev. Stop it. So 2 parts of this. I do think it's possible. I don't think it's impossible. Again, I've said that we wouldn't be having the conversation if I thought it was impossible. The first part of it is, and Rajeev, you have to agree with this because you and I have talked about this. Winning the Big Ten title is a big deal. We've talked about that on the basketball side. That does make me excited. If we won the Big Ten title, that would be a big deal to me.
Absolutely, it would.
Especially with USC coming in. So that would get me excited. And Rajeev, to your first point, what I think the ceiling is, what I think this program becomes, I think it becomes a program that is once again where it was under Barry Alvarez for periods, under Bielema, the program that never gets blown out, a program that will go toe-to-toe with Ohio State, even if you lose 80% of the time. You never look like you don't belong on the field. You're not being upset by Illinois at home or BYU when you're a 24-point favorite. I think it goes back to the consistent program that Wisconsin was with a little more upside, right? And I think that's a really fun program to be a fan of, where every 5 or 6 years you are going to get in the playoffs, you're going to have a really good season, and you're going to be one of the best non-blue blood programs in the country. I think that's the realistic ceiling for Wisconsin.
And so with a non-blue blood, but you still don't think that means that we're going to, like, let me ask you this. You think we're going to get into the playoff? Yes, in the next 10 years. Is that a fair point?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Probably multiple times.
Do you think multiple times. Do you think we'll get to the final national championship game?
It's tough to say. It's really hard because here's the thing. There's how many blue bloods do you think there are in college football? Very roughly, not 8 to 10, somewhere in that range.
I'd say
roughly,
8.
Maybe 5 if you're really stringent on it, whatever it is.
Sure.
And blue bloods aren't always up at the same time, right? That's important to remember. But there's always a couple that are. Yeah. So no matter what, I don't see any foreseeable future where we're out recruiting the blue bloods that are up at that time. Like, I don't think we're ever going to have a top 10 talented roster is what I'm saying. So when we get in the playoffs, every time we get there, conceivably, I'm imagining there's going to be 5-6 teams that just have more talented rosters, and it's going to be hard to beat several of those in succession. So I don't see it as a likely outcome, I guess, is where I'm at.
Yeah. And the other point of this, the other side of this is that one thing we haven't talked about yet is the Big Ten is going to be tougher to win now because of the new structure, right? Divisions are gone. This is the last year of the West. So that's really going to be important now. And I got to say one thing, I haven't been on the show since this happened. I think the Big Ten got it right with their scheduling. I love the Big Ten schedule. I think it's fantastic. The Big Ten was first to be on the scene with the Big Ten network, bringing all this revenue in. Every other league followed. Now they're first. They're not the first to go this divisionless thing, but there was so much talk about 2 protected, 3 protected, and then this had this hybrid protected approach, which I absolutely love. In this system, you play every team in the conference every 2 years, which is such a great thing. So now you've got your 3 protected opponents, but 2 of them are whatever you want. If you want to have 1 protected or you're 2 protected, every team got to really decide what they wanted. We chose 2, Minnesota and Iowa. And then they fill in the last slot or the last 2 slots or whatever the case is with a team that you'll play twice. That's USC. So selfishly, I love that because the first year of this, they're coming out to the West Coast to play USC. The year after, it's going to be UCLA. I think that's perfect. As usual, the Big Ten leads all the other conferences in the way their thought process is, the way they develop these things that are good for fans, good for fan bases, good for traveling people, good for everything, good for TV. It's done well. Really, really good job to the commissioner, to the athletic directors and the presidents. I think they got this great. The fact that we get to play every team in 2 year spans, which there were years where we'd go 3 or 4 years without playing someone in the East or the old legends and leaders. And I think the system is great. Does it make it harder? Going back to our discussion, it does, because now how many times are Ohio State and Michigan going to be those top 2 teams that play in the championship? But again, I just think that now the game has changed. I understand that we're not at that level yet. We're not going to recruit the 5 stars. We're not going to have those top 5 recruiting classes. I get that yet. But there are, in those 12 teams, you said that some of those blue bloods might be down. There's always someone that crashes the party, right? We're going to be crashing the party. If Cincinnati can crash a 4-team party, Wisconsin can crash that party too with him. So yeah, I think that we're going to be that team that rises up, makes a run at it. Sure. If Alabama and LSU and Georgia and Ohio State and Michigan are all hitting on all cylinders, we're not going to win that year, but it's going to take one of those other off years. And I think it still will happen, but it has made it harder. We have to acknowledge that the Big Ten's going to be harder to win now.
I actually want to do a whole show on that, because that's funny. I'm actually not as much in agreement as the Big Ten is going to be harder to win for Wisconsin.
Interesting.
I would like to do a show on that, though. That's a whole big thing. Next show, barring any future recruits or anything.
Right.
A bunch of comments here. Marion Stewart visited last week into Michigan. John Berger said Stewart took his official last weekend. I think that is correct. I think he went on the 14th or whatever.
Because, yeah, you're right. Because he's announcing tomorrow, I believe, right?
On the 16th, right? Yep. Today we're recording this on the 15th. He's announcing.
Yeah, so I think that it depends on. Yeah, I think that he's still going to Michigan. I really do. I mean, I just feel like, that's kind of things that we're hearing. It just seems like that's probably where he's going. But hey, if he comes to Wisconsin, let's go, buddy.
That would be an amazing get. All right, I got to take one more very quick break for our friends of the show. We're going to come back. Rajeev, definitely want to ping your thoughts a little bit on the recruits that you haven't had a chance to talk to. Plus, we got some more comments to get into, as always, with the great community. Take a very quick break with our friends of the show. And just to say thank you again, you guys are amazing. Let's keep this Badger discussion and community growing. Let's bring Rajeev back in. So I don't even feel like we finished unpacking the thoughts of this title thing. So we might do another show. Maybe you can get Justin in on it, who I think actually agrees with you. Get some more of these comments in here. I think it's a good discussion, and I think at a baseline, we all really are excited about where Wisconsin is compared to where it was. Kind of at the middle of last year, for example. So trend up for sure.
Yep.
Let's talk some recruiting. So there's been 4 commits since you've been on the show. I'm just going to give you a name, and I want kind of a quick thought on each one of these guys, and then we'll wrap up with whatever else you got, and we'll get some comments in here. You ready?
Yeah, ready.
Ryan Corey.
Yeah, listen, this guy's going to be really strong. Really fits the bill of an interior lineman. He's got that. I think he's 6'4". Am I right about that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he fits that well. He's got a really low pad level. His mobility is really good. I think that one of the things that I saw a lot in his film is his ability to get out on screenplays. He's going to be a very mobile offensive lineman, and kind of a theme happening right now in all of Fickell's recruits. They're very mobile. They're very fast. There's a lot of speed happening. We're kind of changing the kind of people that we recruit. I think he's going to be really good. I really like his film. A lot of movement, a lot of mobility, good pad level. Should be a very solid starter for us.
Kevin Haywood.
Oh man, this guy is a machine. Come on. This guy, he's going to be in the league. He's going to be in the league. He's got such an amazing frame. This guy's so huge. He really quick, really nice blocking schemes. I think this guy's going to be, he has the potential to be all Big Ten. He has potential to go to the NFL. We've put a lot of linemen in the NFL. We put a lot of tackles in the NFL. This tackle specifically, I think he's going to be really good. Probably starting by his sophomore, junior season, maybe. And he's going to really take off. Love this guy. I think he's got a lot of potential.
Maybe not position of need, but is he the best recruiting get of this class? Or is it still Mabry?
I think it's still Mabry. Yeah, because, that guy's got Trevor Lawrence type potential. I like to say that. I don't know if he actually does or not, but I think that Mabry is. And Justin's really sold me on him. He's looked at a lot of film on him. And I think Mabry's really ultimately the best recruit in the class.
Brian Smith loves him too. And Rivals just jumped him up. We had a comment over in the comment section a couple days ago. Rivals jumped him up like 70 spots. He's a 4-star. I'm going to pause it now. All right, let's go. Colin Cubberly. Let's finish off with the last offensive lineman that came aboard.
Depth piece there. Nothing that really jumps off the film. I think it's someone that, of course, look, you need people at that position to just fill in spots, injuries. Is he going to be an all Big Ten guy? Probably not, but a good solid get for the class. You have to build depth through classes too. You can't just look at the top. You got to look all the way down the list. Cubberly fills that sort of down the list guy. Nothing really jumps off the page. Solid get, though. Depth piece.
Raphael Dunn. Is it Raphael or Raphael?
I just think it's Raphael, but I could be wrong.
Let's go Raphael Dunn, the 6'4" athlete.
This is an interesting one. I was really mad that I wasn't on the show. I couldn't be on the show when you guys talked about this, you and Justin, and I was like, man, I actually disagree with you guys a little bit on this. I think Dunn has a lot of physical tools, and he has kind of sneaky speed. He's built like a tank. He's got a lot of positional versatility. So that's the positives. And I think he fits what Fickell's trying to do, because in that 3-3-5 system, he has safeties that will come down and play the linebacking line. So I think he fits that. My issue with Dunn, and I'm not saying he's not going to be great. Sometimes when you look at a player that's kind of a tweener, right? He's kind of like, is he a safety? Is he more of a linebacker? My question is he going to be exceptional at either one? And that's kind of where I see him. I see him as a utility guy who I think will be good and should hopefully be strong. But I also feel like, is he going to be a good safety? Is he quick enough to be a top-notch safety? Or is he big enough to be a top linebacker? And I think that's where you get that versatility. Yes, exceptional at either position. I'm a little bit weary of that. I know that you guys really like him. And I think he's got physical tools, but I question his ability to be great at either one of those positions.
No, I think that's very fair. And that's the common thing with tweeners. Like, you have to, because he is a tweener, right? I mean, that's totally a correct description of him. He's kind of somewhere in between that safety and outside linebacker build. The interesting thing with tweeners, and I always think of like a woodworking shop, right? Like, you have guys like me whose woodworking shop has like a random hammer and a couple saws, and it's chaos. But master woodworkers, craftsmen, they have a lot of specialized tools because they know how to use them, right? And I think this coaching staff has a way of using specialized tools. They have versatility built into their system. And much like someone who has 17 different versions of saws, and they have a feel for how they're going to use these different unique pieces, where if you didn't have a coaching staff with this type of acumen, I don't think I'd feel as confident in Dunn.
That's a really good point. Because we haven't really seen what they're going to do with these guys. All we know is what we saw at Cincinnati and kind of the tactics and where we feel like they're going to go. That's a really good point. They might have a greater plan. And listen, hey, if he's successful and if he can play that tweener type position and be versatile all over the field, I'm all for it. I think the guy, like I said, very good physical tools. But you're so right about that. Really good point about, we don't really know what they're going to do, and they have that ability to really put him in the perfect spot.
Yeah, he's a bit of a boomer bust guy, though. Like, in 3 years, if you told me, geez, Dunn just could never quite figure it out, I'd be like, yeah, I could definitely understand that. I see that.
Can I ask you a quick recruiting question?
Please jump.
Of the players that we have that have not committed yet, who's the guy that you want the most right now?
I mean, for me, it's easy. I almost want to go somewhere else because this one's too obvious to me. It's Uma. It's the 4-star defensive end out of Old Avon Farms in Connecticut. Yeah. That's almost too obvious to me because it's a huge position of need. It's a spot we don't get impact players in. He's got a great ranking. The offer list backs it up. The film's incredible. He's a high floor, high ceiling guy, which we talked about before the show. I think he's, yes. He would be, to me, he would be the biggest get of the class, Mabry or not.
Yeah. How do you pronounce his last name? Is it Yume or Yuma?
I've been saying Uma.
Okay.
Uma.
We always get pronunciations wrong.
I was also saying Fry Take for like 6 months until he literally came on the show.
It's great. I agree with you, by the way. Benedict, we'll just call him Benedict. Yeah. He is the guy that I want. Dominic Nichols is another guy that I really want. That D line, right? Those edge kind of guys, Kirks. There's a lot of people out there that bring some of that edge rushing ability. But yeah, Yume, boy, oh boy, he is just a beast. Complete play wrecker at that defensive tackle, defensive end, wherever he lines up on the line, he's going to be incredible.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where every box is checked, right? You watch the film and you're like, wow. Like you could be like a person who never watched football and is like an alien, right? And you sit down to watch football the first time and you'd be like, wow, that guy's really good. I don't know the sport, but he stands out. But the offer list also check. The measurables check, right? Like every box is checked with him. Yep. So not to mention position of need, major check for Wisconsin. So he would be at the next level. Let's see if I can get a couple comments in here.
A lot of good comments today. A
ton of them. And once again, I just am not very good at getting all the good comments up in here. John Berger says, look at Rajeev styling and profiling in the Under Armour golf polo. Rajeev, first of all, I want to throw this out there. There's a reason I like going live with Rajeev because everybody loves Rajeev, right? Rajeev is a man.
I have no idea why. It doesn't make any sense.
Justin, Ryan, meh. But I get Rajeev on, and it's like the people show up. So we like going live with Rajeev. He is a man of the people for sure. Brian mentions Clemson, fertile recruiting ground, also only spends its money on football. I think that's like a lot of SEC schools, unfortunately. Let's keep going here. John Smith, with Fick increasing the talent and team depth, 3 to 4 years is very possible, if not probable. Go Bucky.
There you go, John. That's what I'm talking about. That is the belief and the optimism that this program needs.
I love it. Paul Kramer, this would be incredible. College football playoff game at the camp. Winter is coming. That would be incredible. Can we just pause for a second on that incredible comment from Paul? Could you imagine hosting like a Texas at Camp Randall?
We will be live show Locked On Badgers. We're doing it. Oh my God, would that be incredible?
Insane.
That's the dream. That's the beauty of what they're doing here, and why the expansion has been frankly long overdue, because who doesn't want to be a part of this? Like, get more teams in. Let's not just have it be Alabama and Clemson or Georgia over here. Let's get some new blood. This is going to do that. It'd be great.
Dylan mentions, can we talk for a second about how good the Gus bus is looking for a sec? He's going to be a problem. That is a slim. What's a slimmer version of a bus? Like, so you have a bus. Is it like I don't know.
A shuttle bus? I don't really know.
Like a shuttle bus, like the Gus shuttle. Like
Gus shuttle.
It doesn't sound as great, but like he obviously put in work on the off season, or not off season, but before he got here, he looks great. Listen, you've been saying it too. I've been saying it for a while. He's going to be a problem.
Yeah, he is.
Like, he's really good, guys. This is a 4-star prospect. He's really good. He's going to be helpful this year, and in 3 years, he's going to be a major problem in the Big Ten.
You put him next to my guy, Nolan Winter, and I'm telling you, they are going to be real, real good real soon.
We're seeing the pieces coming together, man.
Free tag.
We're seeing the pieces coming together. Dylan says he's still a bus. I wouldn't want to get in front of him. Yeah, but he's like a little slimmer bus, like one of those little Euro buses. Anyway, we're at 32 minutes. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Rajeev, definitely if you have anything else you want to throw out there, though.
No, I think it's good to be back on again. I just, I think that, let me just say one more thing about the recruiting class in general. I don't know. I think it would have been nice to find out. Like, I don't, maybe we talked this. I don't remember. Did we ever give any predictions about where we thought this class was going to finish up? I don't know. But what I do know is that none of us really thought that it was going to be kind of where it is. And we didn't really expect that year one, he was going to be pulling in some of these four-star composite guys, which he's doing now. And so we have no idea how good this could be. Maybe Stewart is coming here. Maybe Ume does come here. There are so many guys out there that if we get, this recruiting class just gets better and better and better. So once again, it's continues to move things in the right direction, continues to surprise us, continues to move the program forward. And I mean, we can't possibly be any happier than with what we're seeing from, frankly, Luke Fickell and Greg Gard. Great stuff.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It is moving forward, and I think that's exciting. We're going to wrap it up here with 2 comments, one kind of on each side of this. Jeff Westfall says, no team with less than 50% of their roster 4 stars or better has ever won a natty. Wisconsin would have a hard time really getting to that point, even with improved recruiting. But this one from Mitch Ames says, 10 years ago, did anyone believe Clemson would be?
There you go.
So listen, I think it's a good conversation to have, and I appreciate having it with you, Rajeev, as well as everybody in the community. On Wisconsin, we're going to talk again. I don't know when, probably tomorrow. I'm sure tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. Anyway, on Wisconsin, and we'll talk later.